Welcome to the Georgia Show. I'm here with BKP because our good friend and colleague, Bill Quinn, had a medical emergency, and we're all praying for him, and hopefully he gets well soon and comes back. But until then, we're going to hold down the fort in Georgia. And Brian K. Pritchard is, of course, the host of the Voice of Rural America. You know, Brian, I told Bill not to swallow that out pouch, but I just think he did, man. What do you think? How's Bill doing? How are you hearing down there?
Well, actually, comparable to the scare him and his wife had the other night with the medical emergency. Bill's doing great. We're going to put it at that because he was supposed to be discharged from the hospital this afternoon, spoke to his wife, and he's doing well, and he's going to be going to some rehab. So Bill's doing okay, and prayers are being answered, and we want continued prayers for Bill. We'll call him Stubborn Bill. We want continued prayers. And I did that on purpose because I guarantee he's watching.
Yeah, I think he is watching because I talked to him this afternoon. He's alert and doing well, and just has some muscular issues to get through. So we're very happy about that.
We're family here, so we do what we got to do. So we're gonna power through however long I could be of help to you and your audience in any way with Georgia information. I'm here for you.
Well, thank you. Speaking of that, the conventions are coming in Georgia, and we're going to talk about that. This is the last Georgia show prior to the convention, and Brian's going to dig into a lot of that, and we'll bring some information that you need to know. And we all want everyone to go to the convention. If you're a delegate, make sure you get there. If you can't do it, let somebody know, and we'll see what arrangements can be made to get you there. We're brought to you by the Georgia Record, georgiarecord.com. Please sign up for our no-ad subscriptions. Please sign up for our social media on X. The X channel is really active and growing. You know, I noticed about 60 days ago that the X account just exploded with a lot of interaction and engagement. It's really fantastic. Thank you for that. And thank you to our new audience overseas. This show is actually popular in a lot of other areas. We have a big Indian audience now, and they're watching because Georgia is the epicenter of everything, as Bill always says. So, Brian, let's just jump right into it. What do you see happening in Georgia?
You're exactly right, Todd. I mean, my daily viewers in this show here, I got international viewers that are zeroing in because if you say Georgia, they want to know what happened, and they go back to 2020. They go back to 2020 and want to know when we're ever going to solve some things concerning that. But let's move on from that. We're getting ready for the convention here in Georgia, and if you don't know, every 2 years we elect state officers for our Georgia GOP Inc. And I call it, because I live in the real world, and that's what I want to show you. I have been doing segments called The Real World, what you and I, your viewers, live in from day to day, how business operates, accounting operates. And there's two things. I mean, we call it the great mysteries of the Georgia GOP Inc., or we could call it the Georgia GOP Inc. Twilight Zone. Because what I'm about to show you is so interesting that everybody is glossing over it. So I've asked a couple questions. We're going to venture into that. Folks, if you're not aware, we have 9 Republican members of Congress in Georgia. All 9 have endorsed Josh McCoon for re-election. Now, 2 of those members, and I won't say the name, 2 of those members I reached out to, and I basically got Todd, well, that's what I was told to do. Seriously. They don't even know exactly why they put their name and face on here. So one of the things I want to venture into tonight and open the door to start thinking logically, why is there so much going into saving this swamp creature? What is happening that they have to? I mean, I have to tell you, when David Cross came out, and we'll get into some graphics that I got to show you, but when he came out and announced he was running, they were just supposed to walk through this and nothing was supposed to happen. Josh McCoon has called in every favor. I will tell you, Todd, this campaign reminds me of like what they used to do in the 60s and 70s as far as trading a couple pints of whiskey for a vote. I'm just telling you the truth. Everything that's possibly could happen. Now, I want to leave you with this, and then we'll go on with one of the mysteries. He has Donald Trump's endorsement, the president of the United States, which we know how he got that, and we won't belabor that, and he shouldn't have the endorsement. He has
that would be for the George Republican Party.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Go ahead. I'll take clarification anytime necessary. You go ahead. You just jump right in for that clarification. But Josh McCoon has the Georgia Republican Party. He has Donald Trump, and we know how he got that. He doesn't deserve it. Now, that being said, that's the top. Okay. Now, he has all the way down to the local dog catcher, and that's no joke. Endorsement. I mean, he's racking them up. He is spending all day trying to take pictures with the guy at the local store and say, look who endorsed me. But all jokes aside, he's missing an endorsement 3 days. And that's Governor Brian Kemp's.
Interesting.
Okay. So I have posed the question. I want to pose the question to your audience. Now, Josh works for the state of Georgia. Josh makes $228,000. He makes more than the lieutenant governor in the state of Georgia. He makes more than the governor. The governor, I think, is 180. Okay. Josh McCoon makes $228,000. He's an employee of the state of Georgia, folks, with $17,000 of travel on top of that. Okay. How come the boss has not endorsed him?
That's a good question. Maybe he doesn't want to seem like because he does work for Kemp. Maybe he doesn't want to, take the devil's advocate. Maybe he doesn't want to show favoritism in public. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, okay. So turnabout's fair play. Let me correct you. So the grassroots have yet to forgiven Brian Kemp for, not going to the conventions and basically taking the GOP away. And that's a story in itself. Brian Kemp famously said, I'm done with the GOP. I'm moving forward in my own way. He's got the leadership pack. He's got his own money. And it's in articles in years gone by, recent articles, where he said, why do I need to be there? So my strong opinion is, if Brian Kemp gave the governor of Georgia gave Josh McCoon an endorsement, I think Josh McCoon is kindly saying, please don't endorse me. You know what I mean? I don't want to go into the convention and the grassroots. I have to pretend. Josh has to pretend he's MAGA. He has to pretend he truly supports Trump. That's a hard juggle with Kemp.
He doesn't want to get booed.
Right. Yeah. Let's go into something here. Give me number 16 if it's available, and I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. Now, folks, for you at home, we don't know, but we're going to show you where a statement was made with the word embezzlement. We're going to show you where a statement was made with the name Karen Henschel, and I'll tell you what that means, because myself, CDM, Todd, I can't come on here and say something's happening, but I'm going to show you where the Georgia GOP Inc. treasurer, Lori McLean, wrote a letter to the executive committee and said, I have concerns this could be happening, and uses the individual's name, Karen Henschel. Now, let me tell you who Karen Henschel is and why I want to bring this up right before the convention. What I'm showing you here is Sue Eberhardt. This is the order of Georgia GOP chairs. And Sue Eberhardt, 27 to 2013. Now, Karen Henschel, keep this in mind, is the Georgia GOP executive bookkeeper. Every deposit goes through her, and every transaction and every reconciliation and every FEC report goes through this individual. All right. Now I want to paint the picture of the real world. She's been there 16 years.
She knows what she's doing. Yeah.
She's been there 16 years. Now, Sue hired her, obviously. John Padgett was chair. John Watson was chair. David Schaefer is chair. Josh McCoon is the current chair. Now, this lady, obviously, through 5 chairs, 16 years, has handled, I'll guarantee you, I know a couple years ago, $48 million went through the Georgia GOP, all right, with Schaefer. So I'm going to estimate that just in her 16 years, well over $100 million has gone through this operation. Now, folks, as I bring this up, think about the business you're in, the business you work for. If you do book work, a CPA, whatever you may do in the real world, there's checks and balances. Nobody runs $100 million with no checks and balances. Now, I wanted to show you this because Karen Henschel has been there for 16 years. Now, for some reason, you would think one of these chairs would say, you know what? You've been here 8 years. I'm just going to throw it out. John Watson, I have somebody that's been working with me for years, and I want them to do the accounting. We wish you well. That's not uncommon because every one of these chairs change the executive director, but Karen Henschel has never been changed in 16 years. Now, let me lay that out for a reason. Now, take that down if you don't mind. Go to number 10. FEC filings. You hear that, your audience out there, I know you're following this, and you keep hearing Lori McLean, the GOP chair, all right, Lori McLean, the GOP chair, does not have access to the filing, the books. The FEC filing is not correct. It is true that usually compliance filing prepared by Karen Henschel, she used the name, that's why we're using it, are reviewed by me prior to filing. There has been times when that has not happened and reports were filed without me seeing them first. Now, these are FEC reports that are supposed to be signed off by a treasurer, because you got to remember, and not to get convoluted and go down the road, this is the Georgia GOP Inc. And if you look up the Inc., the CEO is on the corporation and the treasurer is on the corporation. And these are FEC filings. Now, that's one point you mark down. All right. I've asked Karen more than once not to file reports with my name on them without my permission, but it has happened. Whether our chairman has seen them or not, I can't answer. All right. I want to stay there just a minute. So this is one treasurer. You got to remember, the lady she's talking about at the top has filed the FEC reports for 16 years. And she's done this multiple times unbeknownst, and she's been asked several times, don't do it without my knowledge. And she does it. Now, what this is the treasurer making the executive committee. There was a letter sent to the executive committee of the Georgia GOP, Inc., which includes Chairman Josh McCoon. So this is a letter from the treasurer saying, you know, you guys need to know this. All right. So that's something that you don't do, but I wanted to put it up for a reason. The lady's done these for 16 years. This is one treasurer. So how many other FEC reports? And I think out there, your audience knows, because I know Bill has done the work in the past several weeks. You know how many things we found on the FEC report, just in one or two reports with gym memberships and bow ties and steak dinners. The list goes on. Now, do me a favor, move over to 11. We're going to go chronological order just so I could show you, okay? And this is continued. This is in a letter to the executive committee from the treasurer. The chairman is suggesting that I did not raise any concerns about my level of access to records upon his opponent being in the campaign. Now, as soon as Lori and FEC filing and we started really looking in, Josh McCoon, well, someone helped Jeff Dellamajoro, a very good friend of Josh McCoon, get into the race. All right. Josh did not communicate with her. Let's go right to 12 because this is where it heats up. This is so troubling because we're, again, in the real world. Immediately after the state committee meeting in May of 2024 in Columbus, okay, I shared with Chairman a series of text messages, and I know where those text messages came from, the individual that it came from, and I actually know what the accusation is. We'll probably be, as information comes out, we'll probably be doing this later, maybe a week from now. I had text messages that appeared to accuse our accounting director of embezzlement. Now, this is Karen Henschel that she's accusing, right?
Right.
Okay, of embezzlement. You may have seen us sitting. So Lori and Josh are sitting there. Lori showing Josh all the text messages. Looking at my phone, I again reiterated that if I had better access, Lori continues to say, hey, Josh, if I have better access to everything, I could see what's going on here. I could definitely defend Karen more vehemently and potentially shut these attacks down. So Lori's saying to Josh, look at my phone. I have some pretty substantial text messages that are making the accusation that this lady in our office for 16 years is embezzling. Okay. Now, if you let me in, I will go in and I'll help defend her. You know, if she's not doing anything, let's clear this up. As the chairman, the first thing you would want to do is say, hey, be in my office Monday morning, 8 a.m.
Yeah, you would think this would be a fire truck emergency.
Absolutely. So
yeah,
I asked him if the text messages were actionable, and he seemed to think they might be. He said we would talk about it after the convention. We scheduled 5 different times to speak that never happened. Never happened. 5 different times. Just glossed right over it. Never happened. Now, I can't sit here today and say there's been embezzlement. All right?
But you can say there's an appearance of something happening.
There's something, yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
Because my next message, and again, I want to keep clearing up. These are screenshots. I have the full letter that we can provide anybody that wants this letter in its entirety. Lori McLean, the treasurer of the Georgia GOP, sent this to the executive committee. It got out. This is not something we're releasing. I waited for it to get out, so I wasn't accused of, slipping out something that should have been confidential. And so now, we scheduled meetings. They never happen. So the chairman hears possibility of embezzlement. The lady is handled. Now, you'll hear Josh talk about $24 million that went through the Georgia GOP, which we know the majority of that. A little footnote here, folks, keep your eyes and ears open. There will be a financial report, I understand, coming out very soon. That's going to be shocking, very shocking. That's going to be a lot different than the chairman has went around and campaigned about. Now,
well, I told David last time he was on the show, I mean, he's talking about audits. I mean, that's got to scare the bejesus out of these people, right?
I think we could take this and circle back on why they're trying to save the swamp creature.
Yeah.
I will leave the name out, but I've sent word to one individual. If something happens, they end up having to go to prison, call me. I want to give them a ride. I want to be an Uber that day. I mean, I'm sorry. All right. You know me. I got to lighten up the mood. All right. So let me stay with this, and I'm going to wrap this up because we're in the real world. Let's go with number 12. That
is 12.
Oh, is that 12? I'm sorry. Let's go with 13. Now, here's where I want to put this together. FEC guidelines and the management comments from the last audit we had done both mentioned the separation of duties that are fundamental in a good system of internal control. I want to stop there for a minute. I have been present in so many county audit reports, so many city audit reports. They're required. All right. I have run business that millions of dollars went through. Accounting 101, business 101. You never allow the person that makes the deposits, you never allow that person to reconcile the bank account. You separate those duties. That is simple business. Everybody out there tonight watching is like, you mean they don't do that? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The same person that handles the money, does the FEC reports, and reconciles the books for 16 years. Now, I'm sorry, okay? This is not best practices anyone would say. Now, my efforts are solely related to protecting the party and setting up the most basic set of controls to avoid, and give me this last one, number 14, any appearance of impropriety. We've always done it that way is not a defense. Now, the reason I wanted to go with this is we started this campaign with Josh actually saying that when we questioned any of the finances of the Georgia GOP Inc., it was laughable. To when FEC reports showed misuse of the money, we'll put it very nicely, and the credit card, well, it was an accident and I put the money back. I feel you got to remember, they will tell you, and I know you know business, they will tell you that they do a financial review. You ever heard that? We do a financial review, not even an audit.
That's when they don't want to say they did an audit. The financial review. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We do a financial review. I'm telling you right now, anyone worth their salt as a CPA would look at the operation and see that one person in, out, FEC, they would recommend a forensic audit. They would recommend 3 levels higher than a financial review. And
yeah, of course. Especially with all the controversy going on right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my point of bringing this up, we're going into the convention and we have members of Congress. You could say there's something bad wrong here, folks. This is just the tip of what the treasurer released. All right. Give me, well, I don't think do you have number 9? And I'll stop there.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. This is a text message that was released from the treasurer of the Georgia GOP. This is Josh McCoon. And this will just validate, I've been on this show. I released an audio of lack of communication. They get mad if you call him a dictator. I am 100%, Lori said, I'm 100% aware that you have your hands full. I have tried to steer clear from bothering you, but I've got late and inaccurate filings with my name on them. Late and inaccurate filings, 16 years. Lori's blowing the whistle. This is a whistleblower saying, look, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Wrong person comes in and starts auditing us. There's over $1 million flying in and out of our accounts, and I don't even have access to them. I know stuff moves pretty fast right before a presidential election, but I would like to at least know what is happening. Josh's favorite line. Well, that's fair. That's fair. You heard the audio with me. That's something we could talk about. Let me get through catching up today. It's going to be late. And I'll be glad to call you at your convenience, and we'll cover the issues that are outstanding. Thank you, without trying to be a
biatch.
Yeah, I was going to let you have that one. This will be the fifth time you promised a discussion with me. All right. Now, the point is, and why I wanted to do this, we're going into a convention Saturday, and we need to win. We need to win in 2026. We need to get rid of John Ossoff, and we need to stop now, clean up the party, file it properly, it's just like you, Todd. If I called you right now and said, hey, you want to donate to my organization? I don't think so. But if I called you up and said, look, I've got a clean bill of health right here. You're looking at a clean bill of health. Everything's clean. Hey, now that's something I can get behind. So I don't know, but they're going after now. Let me show you this. Number 15, this morning, the AJC. Folks, the AJC is doing everything they can, and they have a great relationship with the Democrat wing of the Republican Party in Georgia. The AJC is doing everything they can to attack this man, David Cross. All right. They went after him this morning. The Democrats in Georgia are tweeting out things in support of Josh McCoon.
That tells you something right there.
AJC is trying to get this man knocked out, David knocked out, and Josh elected. But if we send, Todd, this is one story of 10 stories that has legs, would be due a good investigation by a great company to do a journalistic story. They don't even touch it. They won't even listen to it.
Yeah, it's a pattern. It's pattern recognition across the country. I mean, and then in the world, actually. People are in place. They're actors. I think that term has been used with McCoon before, and they're not interested in doing what's right. They're interested in maintaining power and pushing an agenda. That's it.
Well, I'm sitting here, and I've actually called friends and said this. I went and asked my wife yesterday, when did we normalize? And I'm not you and I, but when did we normalize lying, cheating, stealing, corruption? When did we normalize this? When did we look past this? Because if you go on the social media and you go everywhere, they're cheering for Josh. What an amazing guy. You're like,
yeah, I've been writing about that myself in Georgia. Where's the moral courage? I mean, all of these Reagan Republicans that all of a sudden just don't want to, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. It's quite amazing. Brian, I'm going to pay some bills real quick. One of our new sponsors is Alp with Tucker Carlson. It's Alp Pouch. If you're a Zen user, nicotine pouch user, these things are fantastic. They're more moist. They have a better taste. There's 20 in the 10 instead of 15, like the woke Zen, which is extremely woke. So get the Alp and ditch the Zen if you're a nicotine pouch user. Here we go.
Since we launched Alp, we've had 4 flavors, but we are proud to announce Alp has a brand new flavor, one of several we'll be rolling out over the next year or so, and it is Sweet Nectar. I have personally tested this product 2 at a time, and it's excellent. Sweet Nectar, the new flavor out from Alp, really, really good. Go to alppouch.com. You can order it in bulk by the pallet if you want. I have strongly recommended Sweet Nectar. And stay tuned for morning flavors.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, a family-owned and operated investment advisory practice. I'm a certified portfolio manager, and my job is to help you make better decisions with your money. One of the things we try to avoid is investing in companies that push the woke agenda. If you're invested with one of the big firms out there, there's a pretty good chance that you're feeding the beast that hates your values. Our company is 100% conservative, and we'd love to have an opportunity to work with you. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big, proud American Eagle logo.
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
So go to outpouch.com. Don't forget the /CDM, outpouch.com/CDM. If you're a nicotine pouch user, ditch the Zen and get the Alp. All right, back to you, my friend. Back to BKP in Georgia.
I want to run through some convention stuff quickly. Give me number one. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I will make it quickly. I won't get stuck on a subject, which, if you believe that, these are our good friends, Georgians for Truth. They have put together a step-by-step process for paper ballots. Now, I don't have to tell your audience, you've heard multiple times recently, even President Trump say he wants to go to paper ballots, same-day voting, citizenship, proof of citizenship, counted at the precinct. So in our district conventions, District 2, District 11 and District 14 used paper ballots for their officers' elections. Everything went smooth. Did not take a long time. Probably only about 300 people in the room, but still yet maybe more. So what better way for the Georgia GOP to respect President Trump and say, you know what? We don't just say we support paper ballots, Josh McCoon. We're going to use them for our state officers' elections. We're going to set a precedent. We're going to go to the Capitol next year and say it works. We did it. We stand behind this. But not in the interest of time, I think some of you know in past shows with myself and Bill that they want to do a standing vote. And then you know the story of clickers, okay? So this is what's interesting. They have prepared this. Give me number 2, and I'll just show you briefly. Here is the paper ballot team. It's all set up. It can be done. Number 3. Now, this team here, Sam Carnline and Field Cersei and others with their team, Georgians for Truth, they've worked on this system, and they have it perfected. They are ready for 1,500 voters. Ready. They've explained it. Guess what? They've sent the entire program to the Georgia GOP Inc. Guess what? No response. No one has said anything to them. Now, recently, candidates from the chairman all the way down, not David Cross, but I'm talking about the Josh McCoon slate of candidates, recently, when asked about paper ballots at the convention, they did I'm going to respect what the delegates want to do, right? They have no intention of doing paper ballots as I feel right now. You will need to make that happen out there if it does happen. Now, that being said, no communication. There's not been a leak or anyone talk about what the process would be for paper ballots. So that being said, I want to flip over to number 5. If you could. I want to come back to 4. These are the clickers, okay? The company is Turner Technologies. The Georgia GOP Inc. bought 12,500. Now I'm using a round number, somewhere between 12.5, close to 13 grand. There's another thing. Josh made that decision all by himself. There's no executive committee meeting. There's no limit of what he could do. He could just decide to get up this morning and buy almost $13,000 worth of clickers for the convention. So I look you right in the eye and tell you on good authority, the Georgia GOP has purchased 12.5, around 13 grand worth of these clickers from this company. So what if the delegates vote paper ballots? We throw the 13 grand away, use them for another day, whatever. That's the way the operation works. You understand? So, but number 4, on one day, we're supposed to support Donald Trump. The next day, sorry to give her airtime, Debbie Doulis there. I'm very strongly opposed using paper ballots for the Georgia GOP convention Saturday. It will take forever to count. I especially oppose David Cross's supporters counting the ballot.
That's funny.
They claim to support Trump, but trash him. Trashes can't. I don't say no, but I say hell no to paper ballots.
Wow.
Okay, you
That's
said
up in
no
your
to
grill
Donald
right
Trump.
there.
Right, it's exactly like Trump wants them. We don't have time. We don't have time. So this is how this has gone. And let me remind you, I threw number 6 in there for a reason. This came out last night on Truth. With the exception of the rigged presidential election in 2020, folks, you can go find this on Truth under Donald Trump, I think like at 2 a.m. Yesterday morning, 2 a.m. All right? I'm just saying he hasn't forgotten 2020, and don't think for 1 minute he has. All right, so I want to show you one more thing. Number 7.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they're calling us. They're omitting their establishment. This is going around. They have labeled themselves the MAGA establishment. You can't make this up. We're the newbies and the wannabes. That's who we are, right? The newbies and the wannabes. They are the MAGA establishment. Now, folks, I'm not joking. This is you can't make this up. Let me tell you exactly what's taking place. You will see it develop across this country, and that's why they're trying to hold on to this swamp in Georgia. All right?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Clinging to power, just like in France, just like in Germany, just like in England, just like Biden tried to do. It's the same playbook.
Todd, they're demagifying the country, period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Demagifying the country. Now, with that being said, we have a convention. If you're there, okay, find us. We'll show you what to do. We have microphones set up. We cannot approve the rules. Let me explain this point blank. There's a lot of rumors going around who Josh is going to pick to chair the convention. A lot of rumor, okay? Don't want to get stuck on that. That's going to be important. Second, when the rules come out, they will try to deter you from changing the rules. They'll say, we just need to pass the rules of the convention, and then we can come back. Let me give you the trick on that. Once you pass the rules of the convention, if you come back to anything you want to change that's on those rules, it takes 2/3 vote. And that's the reason they try to push you past the rules. All right. And don't sit down. Go to the microphone. Well, if you'll let us pass the rules, let me tell you 2 rules we have to go after and not sit down till we get a vote is paper ballots and resolutions. Now, let me explain on the resolutions. They do not want you, if you're a delegate out there, they do not want you to censure the Speaker of the House, John Burns. They do not want you to pass some of these resolutions. So what they do is they require a 2/3 vote on resolution by the delegates, All right. And then the quorum, 2/3 when you have a quorum of the delegates, and they put resolutions at the very end. What ends up happening Saturday, and I've been doing this, I think 8 or 9 conventions now. What ends up happening is you get down to resolutions, and they do it on purpose. The officers are elected. People got a 6-hour drive home. They start filtering out. Guess what? There's a quorum call. You don't have 2/3, so the resolutions go out. All right.
Yeah, we've seen that over and over.
All right. So what you got to do on the rules is you got to tell them you want a 50+1 on the resolutions. That'll mess them up, because if there's 1,500 people there, 749 can go home and you can still do resolutions. So you got to fight that battle. That is another one out there. I don't mean to get tied up, but and there's many of us throughout the room that know how to do that. Todd, I got so much more on the convention.
Well, we got time. If we go over, it's fine. If there's anything important, just put it out.
Well, I mean, I know you wanted to do a couple other things. I want to say this. All right. I've never done this. I've never actually said I've endorsed or I support. I've always stayed in a neutral area, but I am supporting David Cross. David Cross is a good man. I called him one day and I said, you know what the problem is here? You're just a good man. And this is a snake. This is a total snake. Josh McCoon, folks out there, remember every time Trump had a rally and he said, he told the snake story. I was a snake when you picked me up. I'm looking in the eye. That's who he is. I'm supporting David Cross. He's a businessman. He is prepared. He is prepared to bring in a lot of money. When David is chair, there'll be the largest grassroots explosion in the state of Georgia. Everybody will feel involved, wanted, and have a seat at the table. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
The golden age in Georgia.
It is. It's going to be amazing. See, Josh McCoon, I've watched every minute of this, Todd. Josh McCoon talks about getting rid of Ossoff. That's okay. Getting rid of Ossoff, that's fine. And then he says we got to keep the governor's mansion. That's okay. He's right. But we have every constitutional officer on the ballot. And Todd, we have 5 Republican state house seats that are separated by from 50 votes to 200. And then we have 3 more just out of that margin where it's a possibility of 8. All right. That are on the edge. And then on top of that, we don't have Donald Trump on the ballot. Yeah. We do not have him on the ballot. That's larger, and we know that. So we have a lot of work to do. We have to bring in the money. We have to set it up. Now, I'm supporting Lisa Pierce. And I'll tell you why. I looked at that strong. I mean, I like Alice Olenek. I've known Alice Olenek for a long time. I have 0 for Sally Grubbs. I'm not going to be ugly, but I have 0 for Sally Grubbs. I mean, she is doing everything she can to step to the next notch of her political career. That's what Sally's doing. We won't waste no time. I have 0 for her. There's a lot of speculation that Josh would leave the job and Sally would be chair. Josh might run for another office. And I'll throw this out here. You better be careful, folks. Josh McCoon is very, very close to Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk wants more power at the RNC. And Josh has had a lot of steak dinners at Turning Point Action. Just keep that in mind, okay? I don't know. I don't think Todd, sadly, Georgia can have a Democrat, a Republican can lose in one of the big offices. It's there. And I don't think Josh McCoon wants that on his resume. So keep an eye on that. Noreen Cantor is amazing. If you've never met Noreen, she's just an amazing person. Her and her husband are just good people. They love this country. They fly the flag out at the front porch. You're going to know it when you walk in their house and see all their patriotic stuff around the kitchen. They just love the country. She's an amazing person, so I have supported her. And it took me a while. It took me a long time, Todd, to make a decision in the assistant secretary's race between Kylie and not Carol Ann, but Jaquan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why. I wanted to study Jaquan for quite some time. But I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, I did say I am supporting Kylie Kramer for assistant secretary. Jaquan's a nice guy. Comes from a single household, black young man, Democrat mom, single household, had to learn what a Republican is. But he's getting some money that's supporting him that concerns me. I mean, I got a text message from him earlier. Those are not cheap. All right. So I'm supporting Kylie at the convention. I think David has a real chance. I think that's the fear of why every day they're fighting like they are. I think David really has a chance. I think the grassroots has a chance. Now, I will tell you this. I remember when, and I wish Bill was here for this because he remembers it very well. We went through it. David was the first person they tried to get rid of before me.
Yeah, I remember it well. Yeah,
and we shut it down. And Sally Grubbs will tell you she had nothing to do with it. She'll say, "Oh, I didn't have anything to do with it." Well, we'll leave it there. But I'll look you right in the eye and tell you tonight. David Cross is elected chairman. Sally's elected first vice chair. It will not take 60 days before someone in the executive committee will petition to remove David with help from Sally Grubbs. So
that will happen.
You got any particular questions about the convention or what you?
No, I think you've covered it pretty well. I want to tie some bigger stuff that's going on in the world to what's happening in Georgia, and then we can come back to Georgia at the end if there's something you missed. I'm going to do a quick break here, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm watching my friends gain more and more weight, and then eventually I got to tell you, this is a little dark. But bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where a nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back, cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
So, Brian, I just want to connect some dots here. We all know about the hold on, I got to get rid of that just a minute. We all know about the Russian airstrike or the Ukrainian drone strike on the Russian airfield, and we have an update on that on our military channel, armedforces.press. That the numbers that they said of 41, 42 bombers was drastically overstated, and it's probably less than 10 that were destroyed. It's still an important propaganda win, however, and a military, achievement, definitely. But the propaganda, the info op after was much bigger than it really was. But I also want to tell you that there is an agenda to put a power structure, in my view, in place, not just in Georgia but all over the world. And you see that in Ukraine, and you see the let me bring this up. Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal, denying Dick, were in Kiev, and they spent $800,000 for 2 nights at a hotel. I talked to a source there, and they said straight up money laundering. They were paying somebody off. But this is, they're over there running a war using your sons and daughters without the commander-in-chief's approval or knowledge. That is what's happening, and it's really shocking. And if you think back, we've done a lot of reporting in Georgia. You had Ukrainian cops coming into Rome, Georgia. You've got multiple congressmen in Georgia at the national level supporting Ukraine, stand for Ukraine, all this kind of stuff. Just a quick safety tip. If you're seeing that, those are the people that want to keep this new power structure moving forward. And it's not good, and it's not MAGA, and it's not populism, and it's not people's involvement. It is a structure that they want to put in place. And that's what I want to leave people with, is you got to understand what's going on internationally and nationally. And Georgia is at the absolute center of all that. One place you can go real quick, just to toot the horn of a good partner, What Finger News, whatfinger.com, great aggregator site. They post a lot of our content. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. That's really all I had, BKP. It was just to
I got a question on that.
Yeah.
It's your turn to answer questions.
Yeah, man.
All right. So I have a question on it. As you well know, my thing is watching the Mockingbird media. So every morning at 4 a.m., people say, well, why do you watch that? No one watches it. I have to tell you, folks, they set a narrative. They run a narrative. Everything falls into place, and they do run the narrative. So here's what I want to say is, as soon as this happened, all right, I found the video on a foreign site. So that morning at 3:34 a.m., 5, 6, none of the networks even said boo that Lindsey Graham was there. And I ran the video because I found it on a foreign site that he was there. They didn't mention it. Now, this Operation Spiderweb, here's what gets me, Todd, and this is what I want to know from you. Apparently, they say this was planned for 18 months. Okay? Planned for 18 months. They say that David Ignatius, all right, they say, you know what? Even people in Zelensky's government did not know about this operation. This is the propaganda they're putting out. And they say that Trump didn't know when Zelensky was sitting in the Oval Office that this was happening. And I'm going to give you one more. If it was planned for 18 months, this goes back to when the auto pen was in the Oval Office and who was making these plans. So my question to you is, were these plans made back with Jake Sullivan and John Burns, CIA, and Anthony Blinken? I mean, were some things happening back then that were all set up, and Trump comes into office and, he has this blow up with Zelensky? Because actually the media is making Trump, trying to make him look like a fool. Like, Zelensky had this card he was playing, and you were saying he didn't have any cards. Was Trump sitting in that Oval Office unbeknownst? And they even say the Americans didn't know this was going on. How do you feel when you hear all that?
Well, that's exactly my point. I mean, we could speculate whether Trump knew about this, or maybe it's a negotiation play trying to put pressure on the Russians. I don't know, but my gut feeling is that this apparatus, this organism inside our government, this group of creatures, as you say, are running a war that is not legal per the Constitution of the United States. The commander-in-chief is not involved. They tried to assassinate President Putin. That was a week ago. Plus, we talked about that at length on CDM. You had now this effort. Obviously, it was planned during the Biden administration. I know a lot about this group in Ukraine. They're criminals. They're not good people, and they're running that. They don't give a shit about the people in Ukraine. Excuse my French. They don't give. They've depopulated half the country, millions maimed and killed. This is about power, resources, and control. And what I want people in Georgia to realize, you had, like I said, why are Ukrainian police showing up in Rome, Georgia? We did an FOIA request, and we got just gobbledygook back, nothing. No, I wanted to know who set it up, who called, why was this done? And then you look at, Duffy, who was on the state election board, went to Ukraine. I think it was like 9 times. We reported on this. That was in the past, but here you have them working against the United States, the president of the United States, and you've got in the past Georgia election officials showing up over there. It's bizarre. But anyway, the connection needs to be made. You need to understand the greater agenda here globally, that Georgia, unfortunately, is a big cog in that wheel.
Well, Putin has said very clearly, he wants a Russian-friendly government. And everybody talks about in Ukraine, he wants a Russian-friendly government. And everybody talks like, oh, my God, why would he say that? And I said to my audience one day, I said, I want a American-friendly government in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is his border. All he's saying is, I want you guys to be friendly with us. I want a Russian-friendly. I want you to be a little more friendly. Be friendly to us and not so much to NATO or the Europeans. And he said, no weapons. You're not sending, Germany says, oh, we're going to help you get some tourist missiles in there to fly 300 miles into Russia. Wait a minute, I thought we were talking peace, So
Europe wants this war badly. Yeah.
Yeah. Putin said, and one thing, oh God, you and I need to do an hour. On January 20th, Todd, on January 20th, Trump is sworn in. 6 days before Trump is sworn in, Stammer in the UK signs a 100-year deal with the Ukrainians. 6 months before Trump's there, they sign a 100-year deal. You can go look at the whole deal. You can read the whole deal with Ukraine, signed 4 days before Trump took office. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you look at Pompeo's speech a few days ago in Kiev, where he's literally talking about, look, we're going to win this war. We're going to do some things that are really unpleasant, but we have to win, and we're going to win. And it's not going to be fun in the near future. I mean, what is that? I mean, the president of the United States is not saying that. So how did he ran the CIA? It's just really bizarre. We have a group of individuals who are pushing an agenda from inside our government that is not for the American people. And unfortunately, I think I can't prove it completely. I can prove it with circumstantial evidence that Georgia's right in the middle of that. And we're part of that cog, and they have to keep this power. They have to keep the elections under control. And that's what all this convention Saturday is about. That's because if they flip it Saturday, then they got big problems. So I want to see what they're going to do.
When I don't even like to use the word if, but if David goes in there and wins, and all the effort and all the work that goes into it, that won't be a Georgia story. That'll be an international story.
Totally.
That'll be international. And I know you got to get out, but I just want to say I keep up, and I know you know that I keep up with what I call the Mockingbird media narrative, and their narrative. As soon as this happened, because there's no such thing as a coincidence, their narrative, as soon as this happens, Morning Joe, CBS, ABC, everyone, CNN, wow, it looks like Ukraine could really fight this war for a couple more years. That's immediately the narrative that went every network. Well, even Fox News, and I always say, friends don't let friends watch Fox News. Even Brett Hume played his part and said, well, they said he didn't have cards, but it looks like he's got cards. And
that was the info op. That was the info op. He's got cards, that exact statement. And the other one was Russia's Pearl Harbor. And the third one was 41 bombers were destroyed. That was all BS. Those were the three info ops. Yeah.
And you know what dragging this out would do? You know what dragging this out would do? It would put it right in the middle of 2026. And do you know what clip they're playing every morning? Is Trump said he would get rid of this in 24 hours.
Yeah. Well, they're obviously doing whatever they can to keep it going. And I want to know why POTUS is letting it happen. Why isn't he pulling out of Ukraine? That's the question I have. He needs to just get out, remove
Get out.
American forces, get out. If Europe wants to fight, go at it, but we're done. That's my thought. BKP will be back Sunday. I believe you're going to be with us Sunday at 2, unless Bill makes a rapid recovery.
If I will be here, but I know Bill wants to. So we're going to pray that Bill is where he can be here and report, because Bill wants to. So we're praying Bill will be here, but if not, I'll show up.
Excellent. Appreciate it, guys, showing up today. Thank you for watching the Georgia Show. Thank you to our new audience all over the world, literally. And we'll be back Sunday at 2 p.m. Tomorrow on the Skiff, Monday through Friday, 10 to noon Eastern, I have an intelligence briefing. It's gaining a lot of views, and we really appreciate it across all our syndication partners. So catch us there to find out what you need to know and be the smartest guy in the room. We'll see you next time. Thank you.